Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to any new subscribers. If you are new to my channel, thank you for your subscription. I hope you stick around for a long time and bring a friend with you. Also, please remember to click like and post a comment because that really does help the channel. I am wanting to just make a short, brief plea for etiquette in public, especially when we are protesting about our thoughts, beliefs, freedoms, etc., especially in our country, America, right now. And there seems to be a lack of proper etiquette and mannerisms as to how to go about proper protesting, even because some of the same sense of energy and fervor, if it has been expressed by certain other people, is considered riotous and out of control. And so, why am I bringing this topic up? I went to a public event that required registration and required an agenda, and it was not political, but because some of the invites for these panels and some of the invitations to some of the keynote speakers, their background was political, didn't mean they were representing or even voicing their political thoughts and views. They were just invited based on name recognition and um, us wanting to hear from them. And out comes this group that was, boy, boisterous and banging of pans and loud and using bullhorns and everything for this, what I call well functioned, well put together, well orchestrated event. And it was, to me, in my view, was completely out of place. Now, they begin to say, oh, we have the freedom of speech. And you might have freedom of speech, but you may have the right you may have the right to freedom of speech, but you don't have the right to disrupt someone else's function by which you weren't even invited in. Now, to be outside on the public, in the public, on a public street or a public entity, not inside the building by which we were having this event. And it wasn't even, I wouldn't even consider it a controversial event. It was just a wonderful business platform event. And there were health administrators, there were people in different genres of fields. It was to me embarrassing to have this disruption and to ask for a quiet. The organizers of the event began to ask for a tasteful quiet. They refused, and it got such to the point to where they needed to bring the sheriffs in and have them reminded that their voice could be heard outside of this function. And so for me to bring this up right now is to just express that you can express yourself and be heard. This is what, let's say, for example, and in this case, they were going after the person who was a political. If I said the name now, everyone would know this person. I'll put it that way. Your proper place is when that person is in their quorum or when they're in their forum or when they're having their public address. Every entity here in this country, there is at least a monthly or maybe bi-monthly, I don't know so much anymore, but an opportunity for you to be heard at the council meetings and express yourself there. But to disrupt this that was so well planned, and people like myself who had um, made it a point to adjust the rest of my schedule for this, and I had been looking forward to this, was displeased by that, despite whatever you really were boisterous about. So we need to remember that you actually invoke an opposition to other people when you present your opposition to a person in a room based on you standing behind your First Amendment rights to freedom to speech. So let's talk about that First Amendment right to freedom of speech. It is a right for you to be able to use your voice. It is a part of the Bill of Rights. It is the first of 10, the first 10 amendments, which is known as the Bill of Rights. Again, I'm not a political person. I'm not a historian. I'm not in the National Constitution Center for any of that. I am just saying the etiquette when you make these public charades, as far as I'm concerned. It gives you the freedom to freedom of choice in your religion, freedom of speech of your position, freedom of press in your writing, freedom to assemble together, and freedom to petition. That's all in the First Amendment by which they were standing on. And the First Amendment, again, is the first of 10, the first 10 amendments, which is known as the Bill of Rights, because as we know, the Second Amendment, everybody knows it's the right to bear arms, which I won't even go there. However, nonetheless, there seems to be to me, there seems to be a cognition consideration for the Constitution, understanding. I don't think it's being comprehended properly. It doesn't mean you can just go out and be as disturbing as I saw just this past weekend. Because you have a right doesn't mean you have a right to invoke yourself over other people's rights to have peace in the moment and to not be held hostage to your bantering. Seriously. There is a cognition block for many people who want to sway things their way as to what they'd like to do under the First Amendment, right? Under the right to bear arms. Well, this is why people just go in a public place and just blaze off their guns. The Second Amendment right to bear arms was not for that. It was to protect yourself while you have the right to bear arms. It is not to go out and shoot up in public that by which you don't agree with. And so this lack of understanding and or lack of invoking an amendment has become out of control and problematic. And I just view this, again, just a view, just a perspective, just my little commentary. If that is not in check properly, it's not to rescind your right, but I think you need to be held accountable for your actions and explain the rights better by which you can comprehend it and conduct yourself in an improved fashion moving forward. Because it is unacceptable to be as boisterous and as dogmatic and as disturbing and still think that's okay. No, you're not okay. To still think that is well. No, you're not well. And to say it is well with my soul to do that. No, you don't have a well soul to do that. So sit down, read the Constitution, have a clear understand to consciousness as to the Constitution, and may the Bill of Rights land in a more understandable way by which your conduct will demand a change, even from you. Okay? And I respect that. I respect that request. Okay? If you've gotten this far, please click like, please click subscribe, and I'll see you next time, all in love. And I'll see you next time. Oh, I'm still wearing my Dodgers t-shirt. Will that make you happy? Look at World Series time, guys. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye. Be kind. Be kind.